We're back in a position again where there's not much going on in Red Dead Online, but we are just a matter of weeks or even just round about a month away from the next Red Dead Online update. So this is the time to start grinding out, so that when that update does come, instead of having to grind at that point so you can get enough money, enough gold to get into whatever it is you want to get into, you're actually doing it now so that when that update does release, you can go straight into it. So in this video, I'm going to be going through the best money method to do within each one of the roles. This is the bounty hunter, the collector, the trader, the moonshiner, and the naturalist role. Before I do get into the video, if you do want to see any more content from me, I am streaming over on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And this will ramp up to daily streams when the next Red Dead Online update does finally release, which, as said, it shouldn't be too far away. At some point within December, we will get a release. So if that is of any interest to you, a link to the Twitch stream is in the description down below. Getting back into the video, first off we have the bounty hunter. And with this, it's not the most exciting role to go through. A lot of players are actually hoping that the bounty hunter will be the one that gets new content with the next update. But a plus when going through this role is it is the only role which will give you money, gold, and XP. So with this, you want to head over to the bounty board and select one of the legendary bounties. Personally, I always go for Yukon Nick, but you just want to go into a legendary bounty where you have the freedom to take your time. Now, unlike normal bounties that you would get off the bounty board where you can do those in free roam, with legendary bounties there is no timer displayed, but there is a timer running in the background, and this decides how much money, gold, and XP you get. So as a lot of you probably know, the longer it takes you to do something, the more money, gold, and XP you get, and it's the exact same with legendary bounties, except it's a bit harder to tell because there is no timer. But with this, all you need to do is wait 30 minutes within this legendary bounty, and you will get the maximum payout. You want to make sure that within this legendary bounty, you do not die. You also want to make sure that you also don't kill the bounty himself, because this will lower how much money you can actually make. But if you do everything perfectly, this means going into a bounty, waiting 30 minutes before handing, you hand in alive, and you never ever die throughout the whole legendary bounty, you can get anywhere between 90 gold nuggets to 1 gold bar, 1,700 XP, and anywhere between $180 going all the way up to $200. Now with this taking 30 minutes, you're instantly going to be thinking about going over to the bounty board just to do another legendary bounty again. Unfortunately, you can't do that. There is a cooldown. This is where you'll take the time to just go into some normal bounties. You want to look out for the bounties that have multiple people, and also you want to get the highest tier. This will maximize the amount of money that you can get for the time that you're putting in. And very similar to the legendary bounties, the longer it takes, the more money, gold, and XP you get. So with these bounties, there is a timer at the top, and what you want to do is make sure that you hand them in all alive within 30 seconds. Maximizing the payout for this mission. So I got exact figures of what you can get for legendary bounties, which I just mentioned, but with the other bounties, it is a complete variable, because it all comes down to how many bounties you do, their tier, how many bounties you need to bring in, and how much time you spend in each mission. But you should be at least making $250. Once I go through the other methods, really doesn't sound like too much money. But with this, you're also getting gold on top. So that is always something to bear in mind. Next up, we have the collector. Collecting is not what it once was. Used to be able to use the interactable map to get the coin, the ring, and earring. And this would give you a total of $1,282.50 per day, with only spending about 1 hour of your time playing the game. It was incredibly good. But since the naturalist update, Rockstar have updated the collector role. It means that these sets, being the coin, ring, earring, and some other sets, are now completely random. So once you go into these, even though the interactable map shows you exactly where these collectibles are, it's now a random chance of what coin or what ring or what earring you would get, meaning that you will not be able to complete the set first time. You have to go through it a number of different times, which will take a couple days for you to even get a set now. With the coin set, there's actually a coin that has a less than 2% chance of getting, so it has been a struggle for a lot of players. Now the new updated method is to collect the family heirloom, which goes for $292, the suit of pentacles tarot cards, which goes for $287, and then the suit of sword tarot cards, which goes for $286.50. Now you can opt into going for more collector sets. The ones that I recommend are the guaranteed sets, and that's what these are. But these are the guaranteed sets that will give you the most money. And the reason that I've selected free is because that can be completed within about an hour. So within an hour of collecting the family heirlooms, the Pentacles tarot cards, and the Sword tarot cards, you should be getting $865.50. Not quite what we had before, but still better than nothing, and still so much better than what we just talked about with the Bounty Hunter. If you collect these free sets within an hour and you do want to carry on playing and collecting to get even more money, that's when you'll start to go through the other sets, the guaranteed sets. So this is your tarot card cups, your tarot card wands. You then want to go alcohol bottles, bird eggs, and then finally you want to go American wildflowers. All of these will give you guaranteed money. But if money is all you're after and you want to put very small amount of time into this, because this is another role which gets very repetitive very quickly, then what I would just stick to is just doing 1 hour a day, family heirlooms, Pentacle tarot cards, Sword tarot cards, and then be done with it. Then the next day, just do the exact same thing. Next up, we have the trader. The trader was always very easy to deal with, as long as animals were spawning in. But since the naturalist update, it is now 1,000 times easier. You will use the naturalist to do legendary animal missions. Instead of using these legendary animal missions to sedate and sample, instead you will kill and skin. This will still spawn you back into free roam, except now when you're in free roam, you actually have the pelt of the animal that you've just killed and skinned. This is the point in which you will call your hunting wagon. You store the legendary animal pelt in the back. The hunting wagon has become extremely useful because everything that you put in the back will be saved. So if you were to dashboard, close the application down, and then open up the game again, go back into free roam, call your hunting wagon, whatever you chucked in the back will still be there. This just gives you that extra little bit of protection, and when I talk about it a bit later, you can see that this can be used to great advantages. But if you were to store pelts on the back of your horse, you can't carry as many, and if you were to dashboard and open up the application again, it won't be there anymore. It is not saved. But from this point, with the pelt in the back of your hunting wagon, you'll go over to the camp, donate it to cribs, and this will give you quite a lot of materials. It will take anywhere between 2 to 3 legendary pelts for you to get 100 materials, depending on what legendary animal you've actually got. This is the time which you'll take to do a resupply. You can spend $20 to just get a quick resupply in which you'll have to wait 10 minutes, or you can actually do a resupply mission which will be a lot quicker. And then for the rest of the trader, it is about waiting. You'd have to wait 50 minutes to get 25 goods. So it's then 3 hours and 20 minutes to get 100 goods, plus the time it takes to resupply, whether or not you're buying supplies or if you're actually doing a resupply mission. Now going back to the advantage of having a hunting wagon, whilst cribs is making goods or you're waiting for your camp to be resupplied, you can actually just keep on going into legendary animal missions from Harriet. You'll get 3 missions every 48 minutes, and once those 48 minutes are up, that's when it will refresh and give you another 3 missions. So what you can do, and with the hunting wagon saving everything, is just keep on going in and out of these. You go into a legendary animal mission, you kill and skin the animal. You then take that animal pelt within free roam, chuck it in your hunting wagon, get rid of that hunting wagon, go back over to Harriet, do another mission, and just do this endlessly. Eventually you'll get to a point of where you have an endless supply of just animal pelts. Animal pelts that only take 2 to 3 to get 100 materials within the camp. What I've been doing is spending a couple hours over the weekend just going in and out of these legendary animals, chucking all the pelts in the back of my hunting wagon, and then through the rest of the week what I would do is just resupply my camp so that I can actually do trader sales on stream. Makes life incredibly easy, and there's a lot of money there. The next role to talk about is the Moonshiner. The Moonshiner is very similar to the trader, except even easier. All you need to do with this is go over to your moonshine shack, buy the strongest strength in moonshine, and then you add the flavor in. I always go for berry cobbler moonshine because of how easy it is. It requires peach, canned peaches, and raspberries. This flavoring will then go for $226. There are moonshine flavorings that sell for $247.50, but these normally require you to have a collectible. And once you actually work out the maths, which I have done for you in a number of previous videos before, so we won't be going into the maths in this video, but it only works out being $3 better if you were to go and just sell that collectible separately as part of a set to Madame Nazar, rather than using that single collectible to make moonshine flavoring. $3 to use more materials just really isn't worth it considering the risk of doing moonshine. Moonshine still has a number of different bugs which actually reduces how much moonshine you can sell. It is still very sensitive, so as you're moving, even if you're going at a reasonable speed on the road, you can still spill moonshine. And that's also not to mention the variable of other players, because depending who you have in your lobby, and let's be honest, you're not going to know the background and in-depth information about every single player. It's up to them whether or not they're going to grief you. And what can happen is you'll get griefed. And they'll either chuck throwables or they will use dynamite arrows to completely destroy your moonshine wagon. So this is always something to bear in mind. What is worth doing instead of adding flavoring, which requires a collectible, is actually just going into bootlegger missions. Bootlegger missions will reduce the cost of moonshine mash, and this will take off $10 to $20 off the cost depending what mission you get and how well you do it. And there's emphasis on how well you do it. The mission where you need to sabotage moonshine, you can go in stealthily, and if you actually sabotage the moonshine without anyone knowing, you'll actually reduce the cost of moonshine mash by $20. But if you alert anyone and then you have to kill everyone and then destroy the moonshine stills, you will only be taking off $10. So there is emphasis on how well you do it. But the moonshiner does not give that much money. We even got the bounty hunter giving more money per hour than this. But this is incredibly easy to set up, and once it is set up, you don't really need to do anything. Me personally, I don't even bother doing bootlegger missions. So I spend the $50 on the moonshine mash, add the berry cobbler moonshine flavoring, and then I just leave and come back 48 minutes later. It makes less money, but I can then spend my time doing other things within the game, which will make me more money, more gold, more XP. But this brings us to the final role, the naturalist. The naturalist is all about layering. There's a couple different ways to make money within this role. You can sell normal samples, you can sell legendary samples, you can sell normal sample categories, you can sell legendary sample categories as well. And with this, you want to try and do all of them. And it sounds a bit overwhelming, but it is actually very easy. All you need to do is go into a legendary animal mission for Harriet and select whichever one you want. Whilst in this legendary animal mission, if you see any animals, just sedate and sample, no matter what the animal is. Each legendary animal will take you to a different location on the map, which means when you're in there and you're sedating and sampling all the animals you come across, you are actually building up a different category each time. It does mean that it will take longer for you to complete the legendary animal mission, but by the end of it, you'll have a couple of samples for normal animals, and you'll also have the sample of the legendary animal of whatever one you actually picked. Once you get back to free roam, you want to go back to Harriet and do the same thing over again, just with a different legendary animal. After a while, you'll have loads of animal samples, and what you need to do here is just sell these samples to Harriet. In return, she will stamp the animal field book. Once you have all animals stamped within each category, you can trade that category in for money. Going through the categories, you have the farmland habitat, which goes for $60, the desert habitats, which goes for $80, the wetland habitat, which goes for $110, mountain and grassland habitats, which goes for $140, forest and river habitats, which goes for $160. Moving on, you next have the legendary animals, and this is legendary animals dark, which goes for $680, legendary animals light, which goes for $500, legendary animals red and blonde, which goes for $700, and then legendary animals patterned, which goes for $480. The legendary animal categories will eventually be completed. This will take by far the longest, and the missions that you do for Harriet are the easy way to get categories, but for each and every single legendary animal category, you also need to find the free roam legendary animals, and as you play the game, you will eventually get them all. With this, it will take some time to make the big money. You should be able to complete the normal categories while still progressing the legendary animals just by going through legendary animal missions for Harriet. There's also a way to be big brain with this method as well, and it is understanding what is stamped and what isn't. If you sell a sample of an animal that has already been stamped, Harriet won't stamp it a second time. Knowing what you've done and what you haven't done in the animal field book is better in the long run. It makes you save a couple dollars here and there, which doesn't sound like much, but this can scale up to be a couple $100 or even a couple $1,000 depending how far you take this naturalist method. Another thing that actually makes this naturalist method even better now to sedate and sample animals within legendary animal missions, since the Halloween update, free roam lobbies have been filled with players, whereas before we were getting solo lobbies every time we played the game. solo lobbies actually increase the animal spawn rate, whereas a lot of players actually reduces it. So every time you go into a legendary animal harriet mission, you're in a solo lobby here. So there's an influx in the amount of animals that will spawn in, which also helps you get in those rare animals, the ones that would take forever just for you to find within free roam, just so you can get a sample, just so you can go and complete one of these categories. And some of these animals within each of these normal categories are extremely rare within free roam. Some of them are rarer than some of the legendary animals. So getting in a solo lobby just increases those chances. But anyway, those are by far the best methods within each and every one of the roles within Red Dead Online. If you do want to make the most amount of money, it is actually about mixing these roles together. That way you'll have a number of things going at the exact same time, so that at the end of it, you'll have multiple sources of revenue. But I understand that that could be very overwhelming. So what you have now is the best method for each and every role, and you get to decide which roles you actually want to do. As said at the beginning, if you do want to see me actually preparing for the next update and maybe even going through some of these methods myself, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch stream. I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.